Welcome back to another episode of The Drop, the weekly show that lets you know the hottest games coming out across every single platform. And this week we might be getting late into the release season, but Cyberpunk 2077 is still hitting store shelves this week for the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC. And of course it does run well on next-gen hardware as well. But on top of that, there are plenty of other games worth talking about, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. Cyberpunk 2077 is an open-world action-adventure story set in Night City, a megalopolis obsessed with power, glamour, and body modification. You play as V, a mercenary outlaw going after a one-of-a-kind implant that is the key to immortality. You can customize your character's cyberware, skill set, and playstyle, and explore a vast city where the choices you make shape the story and the world around you. Play as a mercenary outlaw, become a cyberpunk, an urban mercenary equipped with cybernetic enhancements, and build your legend on the streets of Night City. Live in the city of the future. Enter the massive open world of Night City, a place that sets new standards in terms of visuals, complexity, and depth. Steal the implant that grants eternal life, take the riskiest job of your life, and go after a prototype implant that is the key to immortality. Now, Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the biggest releases of the year. On top of that, it could very well be one of the biggest releases of the decade. Of course, this is coming to us from the team behind the scenes at CD Projekt Red, famous for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, as well as plenty of other entries in that series. But ultimately, this is one of the biggest projects of the past 5 years or so. It's been very hotly anticipated, and on top of that, the expectations are very, very high. There have been multiple delays for this project, and ultimately, this is going into the record books as one of the most ambitious games of all time. Now, I am not digging too deeply into the details because I want to go in with as clean of a start as I possibly can. Now, when it comes to a next-gen upgrade, there are further enhancements coming for the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, but of course, if you are picking up the game this week, it is going to run incredibly well on that next-gen hardware, and you can find videos from the Cyberpunk team making sure you know exactly what to expect on day one on your platform of choice. But if you do want to dive in on day one, Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out on the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC later this week. Feels so good to finally say that. Next up, Call of the Sea is coming out on the Xbox One and the PC. It is 1934 in the far reaches of the South Pacific. Norah has crossed the ocean following the trail of her missing husband's expedition and finds herself on a lush island paradise, a nameless, forgotten place dotted with the remnants of a lost civilization. What strange secrets does it hold, and what might Norah unearth in her quest for the truth? Explore a stunning tropical island meticulously modeled in Unreal Engine 4, brimming with fantastic sights, lost ruins, and occult mysteries. Experience a charming character study of a woman on her quest to discover the truth of the disappearance of her husband and to find out who she really is, fully voiced by Cissy Jones. Dive into the deep, immerse yourself in a story-drive adventure full of emotion, suspense, and surreal surprises, and of course, search for meaning. Investigate the clues left by a previous voyage, piece together what happened, and solve a variety of clever puzzles. I've just checked out brief snippets of the gameplay, but for me this is a combination of The Witness, where you do have these puzzle elements, but it's also kind of like a focused home interactive game like Gone Home, where you do explore and you have this narrative to kind of work your way through. Of course, this is an Xbox console exclusive. It runs very well on the next generation, on the Xbox Series X as well, but it is one of those very charming little indie games that many people have been looking forward to. I believe it was announced earlier this year, and of course it has been on my list. Now, while I might not be diving in on day one this week, because basically my entire focus is going to be on Cyberpunk 2077 and everything else that I'm working through currently, I am looking forward to adding this one to the backlog and definitely getting to it at some point. But if you do want to dive in, Call of the Sea is coming out on the Xbox One and the PC this week. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 is coming out on the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC. Two puzzle legends reunite for the ultimate crossover. Japan's beloved puzzle game series Puyo Puyo and the world-renowned Tetris game franchise have teamed up again to deliver even more Puyo popping and Tetramino clearing fun in Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. Playing is easy. Match 4 or more same-colored Puyos or complete a line of blocks to clear them from your board and dump garbage into your opponent's game. But keep an eye on what's coming your way too. Play traditional Puyo Puyo and Tetris, or mix them together to level up your game. Offline or online, you'll have loads of modes that let you play the way you want, from single-player adventure to couch competition versus to ranked online matches and more. Puyo Puyo Tetris has been around for a while, and it really gained a lot of traction whenever it did come out towards the beginning of the Nintendo Switch lifecycle, which did get it a lot of traction because Tetris is simply fun on the Nintendo Switch. If you've played Tetris 99, you will know that very clearly. But of course, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 pretty much brings back that action, adds a couple of new bells and whistles, and ultimately combines two games of a very similar nature to create something that's unique and fun. It does take that same kind of approach that you see in Tetris 99 and Tetris Effect Connected's multiplayer mode, where you just send lines to the other player, which is perfectly fine, no complaints from me. But if you do want to get some more Tetris action, by all means, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 comes to the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC later on this week. And finally, to round out today's main releases, Space Invaders Forever is coming out on the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch. Now, don't get too excited. Space Invaders Extreme has arrived to invade consoles with greatly improved graphics and interactive sound to deliver a new immersive experience. Packed with vibrant visuals and a pulsing soundtrack, Space Invaders Extreme comes with 16 stages packed with devious invaders and fiendish boss fights. Practice individual stages in free play, then boost your high score to new heights in arcade mode. Can you find all the countless hidden bonuses? Welcome to the new invasion. The following games are part of the Space Invader Forever collection, including Space Invaders Extreme, Space Invaders Gigamax 4 SE, and Arkanoid vs. Space Invaders. Now this game is strange to me, and maybe I'm missing some kind of press release or something, but it seems to be a parsed back version of the Space Invaders Invincible collection that was released earlier this year, which I believe had 11 games, including those that are mentioned here today. So I don't know if this game ran into publishing issues or some kind of rights issues, but ultimately it's just a parsed back version of a game that we saw released earlier this year. Now that being said, Space Invaders still holds a very strong spot in my heart, huge fan of the game, and definitely recommend picking it up if you have not ever played any kind of Space Invaders game. Now should you pick up Space Invaders Forever? Maybe not, but if you do want to, it's coming out on the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch for those hardcore fans. Now to round out today's show, we do have a couple of honorable mentions. First off, Doom Eternal is hacking and slashing its way, or I should say ripping and tearing really, to the Nintendo Switch digitally this week. Of course, the physical edition has been canceled, so if you did pre-order, then you might want to contact your retailer and see what that status is. On top of that, Ori and the Will of the Wisps and Ori and the Blind, not Whips, that sounds kinky. Ori and the Will of the Wisps and Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition are both getting physical releases on the Nintendo Switch, and Panzer Dragoon comes to the Xbox One. But that rounds out today's episode of The Drop. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what games caught your eye. Are you picking up Cyberpunk 2077, or are you going to wait for a while and see what the reviews say? Would love to hear your thoughts and what you are picking up over the course of the next few weeks. On top of that, what are you playing? Would love to hear what you are digging into during the holiday season. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic week. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.